disrespect God, but I wouldn't never understand how he can need her more than me and her mother need at 16 years old. With that being said, she was loved, you know. She gonna always be loved.
It's just after 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning in Reserve, Louisiana. A black Dodge Challenger pulls out of a gas station parking lot. Inside, 6 teenagers and young adults are laughing, talking, grabbing snacks after leaving a party. The night feels normal, but in the darkness, a gray sedan has been waiting, watching. As the Challenger rolls onto Airline Highway, the sedan pulls up from behind, closer, closer. Then it speeds up, pulling right alongside the black car. Suddenly, the night explodes with gunfire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots rip through the air. Muzzle flashes light up the road. The gunmen hang out of the windows, firing as both cars race down the street. Inside the Challenger, 16-year-old Aria Henry is behind the wheel. She feels a sharp, burning pain in her hip. She's been hit. Panic floods the car. Aria makes a sharp U-turn, tires screeching, racing toward the hospital. Her friends are screaming. Blood is spreading. Time is running out. This is the story of Aria Henry, a teenage girl with big dreams, a loving family, and a bright future ahead of her. But one decision to sneak out to a party would cost her everything.
16-year-old is dead after a shooting in Reserve. Detectives say they do not think that she was the intended target. Good evening and thanks so much for watching. I'm Whitney Miller. That 16-year-old is Aria Henry.
This wasn't a random shooting. This was a targeted attack. Someone was hunting the people in that car. But Aria wasn't the target. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The killers are still out there. The 3 adult men who were in the car that night refused to talk to police. The case has gone cold, and a family is left asking one question: why? Welcome to our channel. Right now, there are thousands of teenagers like Aria who are making choices that seem harmless in the moment, completely unaware of the dangers that could be waiting in the shadows. If you want to help spread awareness about youth safety and the warning signs that could save innocent lives, then please like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel. Your action now could help protect another young person who might be in danger. Now, let's talk about who Aria Henry really was and what happened on that deadly night. Reserve, Louisiana, is a small community in St. John the Baptist Parish, sitting on the east bank of the Mississippi River. It's the kind of place where people know their neighbors. Families gather for festivals. Music fills the streets. The community takes pride in its culture and traditions. Reserve is also home to the headquarters of the Port of South Louisiana, bringing jobs and activity to the area. It's a working-class community where parents raise their kids with hopes for a better future. But on June 2nd, 2024, that sense of safety was shattered. The violence that took Aria Henry's life wasn't supposed to happen here. Sheriff Mike Traeger said that over the past 2 weeks leading up to the shooting, there had been more criminal activity than usual in St. John Parish. Something was changing in the community. And on that early Sunday morning, a 16-year-old girl paid the price. Aria Henry was 16 years old. She was a rising junior at East St. John High School, and she had her whole life ahead of her. Aria was raised in Marrero, Louisiana. She was the only girl in a family of 4 brothers. Her father, Clarence Henry, called her his princess. Her mother, Bianca Bridgewater, remembered her daughter's laugh. It always started as a soft giggle and grew louder and louder until everyone around her was smiling too. Aria was shy, but once you got to know her, she was sweet, goofy, and full of life. She had a heart of gold. She loved her grandmothers, her uncles, her aunts, her brothers, and her cousins. Family meant everything to her. She had a passion for fashion, makeup, and hair. Her favorite color was dark purple. Aria loved expressing herself through her style, and she was always experimenting with new looks. But her talents didn't stop there. Aria loved to cook. She was always in the kitchen, trying out new recipes. She loved making spicy dishes, pastas, and avocado egg toast. Her father's favorite meal was her chicken pasta, and her brownies, everyone in the family loved them. In fact, just before she died, Aria had bought groceries to make chicken pasta for a Monday night family dinner. That meal never happened. Aria had big dreams. She wanted to join the U.S. Air Force. She wanted to become a nurse, just like her stepmother, Destiny Henry. She wanted to help people. She wanted to serve her country. She wanted to make her family proud. Her father said Aria used to call him her Superman when she was little. He took that role seriously. He wanted to protect her, to keep her safe, to be there for her no matter what. After her death, Clarence Henry said, "I never wanted to let her down, and I feel so bad that I wasn't there to save her." Ariella wasn't involved in gangs. She wasn't in trouble. She was just a normal teenager with dreams, hobbies, and a family that loved her deeply. What do you think Aria's story tells us about the dreams and challenges faced by teens today? Share your thoughts below. Now let's talk about the night everything changed. On Saturday night, June 1st, 2024, Aria Henry was supposed to be spending the night at a friend's house. Her parents thought she was safe. They thought she was where she said she would be. But Aria made a different choice. She sneaked out to attend a party in a nearby neighborhood. It's the kind of thing a lot of teenagers do, sneaking out, going to a party, testing boundaries. It feels harmless in the moment, exciting even, but for Aria, that one decision would cost her everything. At the party, Aria met up with 5 other people, 3 adult men and 2 other underage girls. The group spent time together, and when the party wound down in the early morning hours, they all piled into a black Dodge Challenger. 6 people crammed into one car. Just before 2 a.m., the group decided to stop at a convenience store for snacks. It seemed like a normal end to the night. They were laughing, talking, grabbing drinks and food. Nothing felt wrong. Nothing felt dangerous. But what they didn't know was that someone had been watching them. According to Sheriff Mike Trieger, a gray sedan had been parked near the party earlier that night. The car was sitting in the darkness, waiting. When the Challenger left the party and headed to the gas station, the sedan followed. It parked again in the shadows near the store, waiting for the group to come back out. The people in that sedan weren't there by accident. They were hunting someone in that Challenger. They had a target, and they were willing to kill to get to that person. After the group finished at the store, they got back into the Challenger and pulled out onto Airline Highway. That's when the attack began. Aria had no idea what was about to happen. She had no idea that someone was waiting in the dark, ready to open fire. She was just a teenager trying to have fun with friends. But in seconds, everything would change. The black Dodge Challenger pulled out of the convenience store parking lot and onto Airline Highway near Central Avenue in Reserve. It was just after 2 a.m. on Sunday, June 2nd, 2024. Behind them, the gray sedan started moving. St. John Parish has a network of crime cameras throughout the community, and one of those cameras captured everything that happened next. The sedan, later identified as a 2015 gray Kia Optima, had been lying in wait. It followed the Challenger from a distance at first, then began to speed up. It pulled up from behind, getting closer and closer to the black car. Then it pulled right alongside the Challenger. That's when the gunfire started. Muzzle flashes lit up the dark road. The gunmen were hanging out of the windows of the sedan, firing directly at the Challenger. 1 shot, 2 shots, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. At least 7 gunshots were fired in a matter of seconds. The sound of gunfire shattered the quiet night. The attack was fast, brutal, and deliberate. Inside the Challenger, Aria Henry was behind the wheel. She felt a sharp pain in her hip. She had been hit. Blood started spreading. Panic filled the car. The other passengers were screaming, trying to figure out what just happened. Aria didn't freeze. She made a sharp U-turn, tires screeching against the pavement, and headed straight for St. James Parish Hospital in Lucher. She was fighting to stay conscious, fighting to get help, fighting to survive. The suspect vehicle sped off in the opposite direction, the gunmen still hanging out of the windows as they disappeared into the night. When Aria arrived at the hospital, medical staff rushed to help her. They did everything they could, but the bullet had caused too much damage. Despite their efforts, Aria Henry died from her injuries. She was only 16 years old. The news hit her family like a freight train. Clarence Henry, her father, was devastated. He kept thinking about how he used to be her Superman, and now he couldn't save her. Bianca Bridgewater, her mother, couldn't understand how this had happened. How could their daughter be gone? Aria's brothers lost their only sister. Her grandmothers, uncles, aunts, and cousins were left heartbroken. The family that had loved her so deeply was now left with an empty space that could never be filled. Sheriff Mike Tregri held a press conference and released the video footage to the public. He said, "They don't deserve to be on the streets of St. John Parish, or any street in our state or country. We have to get them. We have to capture them." The sheriff made it clear that this was a targeted attack. Someone in that Challenger was the intended victim. But Aria wasn't that person. She was just in the wrong car at the wrong time.
She deserves justice. We strongly and are almost positive to believe that she was not the intended target.
This community was in shock. Parents held their children a little tighter. People started asking questions. Who did this? Why? And would they ever be caught? Sheriff Mike Traeger and his team at the St. John Parish Sheriff's Office immediately launched an investigation into Aria Henry's murder. They had the crime scene, they had video footage from the parish's crime cameras, they had evidence, but they were missing one critical piece: the shooters. The crime cameras that captured the attack became the backbone of the investigation. Deputies used the camera system to track the movements of both vehicles. They watched the gray sedan park near the party, followed the Challenger to the gas station, wait in the darkness, and then launch the attack on Airline Highway. Using the footage, investigators were able to identify the suspect vehicle as a 2015 gray Kia Optima. They tracked it through the camera system and eventually found it hidden at the end of a dead-end street in Garyville. The car was covered with a tarp, tucked away in a spot that required knowledge of the area. "You really have to know the area to park a vehicle back there," Sheriff Traeger said. When deputies ran the plates, they discovered the car had been reported stolen out of New Orleans back in March 2024. Someone had been driving that stolen car around St. John Parish for months. Sheriff Traeger said, "We have the crime scene, we have the vehicle. What I do not have are the perpetrators." The investigation hit a major roadblock when the 3 adult men who were in the Challenger with Aria refused to cooperate with law enforcement. They wouldn't talk. They wouldn't answer questions. They wouldn't tell deputies who they thought was responsible for the shooting. The 3 adult males refused to cooperate with law enforcement at all. They wouldn't talk to us, wouldn't say anything, Sheriff Traeger said. "Everything we have right now is based on our technology and our crime cameras." This refusal to cooperate is part of what some call the no-snitching culture, a code that discourages people from talking to police even when someone has been killed. Sheriff Traeger expressed his frustration, saying, "They always say it takes a village to raise the child, but it appears the villagers are afraid of the children." Without cooperation from the witnesses, the case stalled. Detectives were left waiting for someone in the community to come forward with information. Sheriff Traeger made a public plea. "Right now, I just need to find out who shot up this car and who killed this 16-year-old girl. We're just waiting for somebody to give us a little bit more than what we have so we can get this case rolling again. But right now, we're kind of at a standstill." The sheriff's office offered a $2,500 reward for information leading to an indictment. They urged anyone with information to call Captain Brandon Barlow of the Criminal Investigation Division, or Crime Stoppers. Callers didn't have to give their names or testify. Aria's family also made an emotional plea. Her father, Clarence Henry, said, "Make peace with God, get your life together, turn yourself in." But as days turned into weeks, the killers remained free. The days after Aria Henry's death were filled with unbearable pain for her family. Clarence Henry, her father, was consumed by guilt. When Aria was little, she used to call him her Superman. He had always tried to live up to that name, to protect her, to be there for her, to keep her safe. Now he felt like he had failed. "I never wanted to let her down, and I feel so bad that I wasn't there to save her," he said. He was also struggling with anger, not just at the killers, but at the situation itself. He knew kids make mistakes. He knew teenagers sneak out, but this mistake cost his daughter her life. She wasn't supposed to be at that party. She wasn't supposed to be in that car, Clarence Henry said. Things can happen in a split second. Kids need to listen to their parents. Bianca Bridgewater, Aria's mother, was trying to make sense of the senseless. "This has taken a toll," she said. "We're just trying to understand it." Aria's 4 brothers lost their only sister. Her grandmothers, uncles, aunts, and cousins were left grieving a young woman who had so much life ahead of her. The family that had once been filled with Aria's laughter and cooking and dreams was now filled with silence and sorrow. The community of Reserve mourned with them. Vigils were held, tributes poured in, people prayed for Aria's family and for justice. Many in the community were holding the Henry family close to their hearts, hoping that someone would come forward with information. But the tragedy also sparked conversations about choices and consequences. Aria's story became a painful reminder of how quickly life can change. One decision to sneak out, one night at a party, one ride in the wrong car, and a 16-year-old girl with dreams of joining the Air Force and becoming a nurse was gone forever. Her father hoped that other teenagers would learn from Aria's story, that they would think twice before sneaking out, that they would listen to their parents, that they would understand that danger can come when you least expect it. Aria Henry deserved better. She deserved to grow up, to follow her dreams, to live a full life. Instead, she became another victim of senseless violence, a tragedy that didn't have to happen. Aria Henry's death raises important questions. How do we prevent tragedies like this from happening again? What can communities, families, and law enforcement do differently? One of the biggest obstacles in this case was the refusal of witnesses to cooperate with police. The 3 adult men in the car wouldn't talk. They wouldn't help identify the shooters. This no-snitching mentality protects criminals and leaves victims without justice. Communities need to understand that staying silent doesn't keep you safe, it keeps killers on the streets. When people refuse to speak up, innocent people like Aria pay the price. Speaking to law enforcement isn't betrayal. It's about protecting your neighbors, your family, and your community. Sheriff Treger said it best. They always say it takes a village to raise the child, but it appears the villagers are afraid of the children. Aria's father had a message for other teenagers. Things can happen in a split second. Kids need to listen to their parents. Parents and schools need to have honest conversations with young people about the real dangers out there. Sneaking out might seem harmless, but it can put you in situations you can't control. Riding with people you don't know well can be risky. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time can be deadly. Young people need to understand that peer pressure isn't worth your life, that one bad decision can change everything, that your parents set rules because they want to keep you safe. The crime cameras in St. John Parish were crucial to this investigation. Without them, deputies wouldn't have been able to track the suspect vehicle or understand how the attack unfolded. Communities should invest in technology that helps solve crimes. But technology alone isn't enough. Law enforcement also needs to build trust with the people they serve. When communities trust the police, they're more likely to come forward with information. Someone in that Challenger was targeted. There was a conflict, a grudge, or a dispute that led to this attack. Schools and community programs need to teach young people how to resolve conflicts without violence. Counseling services and support groups can help people deal with anger, stress, and trauma before it escalates. The shooters in this case used what deputies believed to be a rifle. They fired at least 7 shots at a moving car in the middle of the night. Stronger enforcement of gun laws and penalties for illegal possession can help reduce access to firearms for people who would use them to commit crimes. What do you think needs to change to prevent tragedies like this? Let's talk in the comments. And if you found this story important, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach more people. As of today, the people who killed Aria Henry are still out there. They haven't been caught. They haven't been charged. They haven't faced justice. The St. John Parish Sheriff's Office is still asking for the public's help. If you have any information about this case, please contact Crime Stoppers. You don't have to give your name, you don't have to testify, and you can earn a $2,500 reward for information that leads to an indictment. Aria Henry was only 16 years old. She loved fashion and cooking. She dreamed of joining the Air Force and becoming a nurse. She had a laugh that filled the room. She had a family that loved her deeply. She had a future that was stolen from her. She wasn't involved in gangs. She wasn't the target. She was just a girl who made a mistake that so many teenagers make, sneaking out to a party, and it cost her everything. Her father called her his princess. Her mother remembered her laugh. Her brothers lost their only sister. Her family will never be the same. Aria deserves justice. Her family deserves answers. And the community deserves to know that the people responsible for her death are behind bars. If you know something, say something. Don't let fear or a code of silence protect killers. Don't let Aria's story be forgotten. Stay vigilant. Look out for each other. Speak up when you see something wrong. Demand accountability from those who commit violence in your community. Aria Henry's life mattered. Her dreams mattered. Her story matters. Rest in peace, Aria. We won't stop fighting for justice. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and remember, your voice can make a difference.